Welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here today. I just want to introduce you to Doug Smith talking about some high yield, low prep behavior strategies for you all. And so thank you so much, Doug, for being here today and take it away.
Thanks everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. I always like to look at the first few days of school as a new year, new adventure. I mean, and that's what it is with the kiddos that you work with and things. Every day is an adventure with the students that we work with. So just be prepared, love your kids, love your job, and just uh, be encouraging and be encouraged that what you're doing does make a difference and support each other. So we'll go ahead and get started right away. As Miss Mary was saying, our topic is going to be supporting behavior, and we're going to be looking at some high yield, low prep behavior strategies. Today's agenda or talking points, I guess you could say, we're going to briefly hit on looking at rules, expectations, and procedures, and what those may look like in your classroom and why those will be important. And then we'll talk about procedures to the where they're practiced and reviewed and uh, completed to the point that they become a routine. And when they become a routine, they no longer need your direction to guide the students on what to do as far as that is concerned. We'll talk briefly about opportunities to respond, some instructional feedback, look at active supervision, talk about pre-correction, and then behavior-specific praise. So we'll briefly hit on those, give you some ideas and some ask some questions and just general conversation about these topics for today. So the first thing that I think we'll talk about are the rules, expectations, procedures, and routines. So as you know, classroom rules are those things that help manage our classroom and not just manage behavior itself, but the classroom, the environment as well. So when you develop your rules, the rule of thumb, the rule of rules is what is it? Five or less. Make your rules positive, tell the students what they can do, not what they can't do. And then also make sure that when you have your rules, you have those posted. You review those with your students. If at all possible, help your students help you to develop those rules for your classroom. Teach those to your classroom. Model those behaviors. Practice those behaviors. And then provide feedback to the students on how they're doing. And then, of course, you'll have to re-practice, model again, review again several times throughout the first couple of weeks or so. And then if you have any breaks at all, like a fall break or over Christmas break or snow days or anything like that, I know it's a little early to talk about that, but after you've had those extended breaks, make sure that you uh, review your rules and go over those again and practice those again with your students. Now, your expectations are a little bit different than what your rules are. Your expectations, the way I like to look at that is these are what I expect of you when you come into my classroom. You may have never been a seventh grade student in my classroom before. So these are our classroom rules. These are the things that we put in place to make sure our environment is safe. But these are my expectations of you as a seventh grade student. I expect you to come into the classroom, put your homework away, get your notebook out, copy the bell ringer from the board, complete the bell ringer, and wait patiently until we're able to discuss that. Now, those are my expectations. You know, you may have hallway expectations and you may have cafeteria expectations. If you have carpet time or circle time or whatever, what are your expectations? What do you expect your students to be able to do when they come to that area of the classroom? With your expectations as well, you want to remind the students of those as you're preparing to transition to a different activity or a different event, or as I used to do hallway procedures with my kiddos. They had a difficult time. They wanted to touch everything. You got kids like that. You know, when you first come to school, everything's new, everything's fresh, clean, pretty, and they just want to touch everything. and there's so much stimulus, so much environmental things out there that just catches their eye. So my guys had a difficult time with hallway procedures. They wanted to touch people in front of them. They wanted to touch the walls. They wanted to run, so walk side to side, and things like that. So we developed our rules or our procedures for the hallway. We I modeled that behavior. We practiced that behavior. We gave feedback on when they were doing following the rules and expectations correctly, and then we provide them that positive, corrective, immediate corrective feedback. Try to be positive with your feedback and your corrections, and then I had to remind them every day as they were leaving. Remember, guys, we're going into the hallway. Right hand side the hall, hands to yourself, walking quietly, please. Thank you. Have a great day. And that's all it took, just 3 to 5 seconds to remind their students of what those procedures look like and what those expectations were. As I was saying before, if you think you're going to have a procedure for something, you may want to start working on that now. You may have to have a way that your students know how to sharpen their pencil or know where to get their homework, know where to find the materials that they're going to need for class, know how to ask permission, know how to get attention. So you have to teach those kiddos those procedures, and you practice those and reinforce those enough that they finally and eventually become routines. And routines are those things that you no longer have to guide the students in doing. They can do that automatically. So just remember, with your procedures, you have to practice those. You have to continuously evaluate those. And you're not going to come up with a procedure for everything on the first day of school. There may be something that comes up. I had to teach a couple of my students, kindergarten kids, had never been in school before. So I had to teach them how to wash their hands after using the restroom. And that took several days to teach them how to, get the soap, turn the water on, rub your hands together, sing the happy birthday song or count to 20, whatever it was, and then turn the water off, dry your hands, put the towels into the trash can and things like that. I also had to break that down with some of the kids, had to scaffold that or break that down into steps so that they knew this is what step one looked like. This is what step two, step three, so forth and so on. We even had a little checklist or a chart saying step one. After I did that, they could put a check on it or they could point at it. I used visuals with them to help reinforce what those expectations and rules were. And then so anytime that you can use visuals with your kiddos, it helps reinforce what you're saying to them, and it helps to they can better understand what's expected of them at that time. Visual schedules are really, really important, I think, because time is an abstract ideal. Kiddos don't understand that. And we go to lunch in a couple hours, or we'll be going to PE at 10:15. So if you use a visual schedule, you can use that one that you can remove or take stickers from or prompts or whatever. And after you finish an activity, say breakfast is 8 to 8:35 or whatever, remove that from that schedule. Those kiddos can see, okay, well, we're through breakfast. That's an hour or that's 35 minutes that's gone. Next activity, so they can see time as a concrete ideal. That way they see as their day is going along, these activities are going away. So that must mean it's getting closer to time to go home. Plus, using a visual schedule kind of helps keep them on track. And if a something comes up that is a change in the routine, maybe you can prepare them a little bit ahead of time so they're not so overwhelmed by that when that activity happens that they can still carry on fairly as normal as the regular school day is. So just be aware of your rules, expectations, procedures, routines, and all those things that you come up that you will see as you go about this first couple of weeks of school.
Just something that I would, when you were talking about that, whenever I was teaching middle school science and I had labs,
Yes.
procedures were really major, and I always started with very simple things because we used glassware and all of those things. And so starting out simple with simple experiments that let them practice with things, uh, and talking about the procedures, that goes right along with that as well. And, as we get in the high school and middle school, how important those are for their safety too.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. I never and you will have to have, different, like you were saying, different content area have will have different procedures and different routines for that area. With math class, you may have somewhere where you keep calculators, and the students will know what is what's the procedure for going and picking up my calculator. Are they numbered, or they have a name on them, or whatever? And what do I do after I get through using them? How do I use those tools properly in our classroom? So thank you, Mary. That was excellent point. So briefly, we'll discuss some opportunities to respond. And if we think about opportunities to respond help students review material. They help them acquire skill fluency. They help commit information to memory, and they increase on-task behavior and reduce challenging behaviors. So when we're talking about opportunities to respond, we're talking about ways that we can have our kiddos engage with the learning that's going on. How can we engage our students in the content? How can we get them to show us that they understand what's being taught or understand the concepts that we're going over? Some examples. Well, why don't you all just give me a couple examples? An example that I was always used in the classroom is, of course, the thumbs up or thumbs down. If I've been asked an open-ended question, or a question that has a true or false answer or yes, no answer, thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you disagree, or if it's false. So I use that one in the classroom quite often, and it works with the older kids as well. I mean, the middle and high school age as well, because they don't feel too bad about doing thumbs up, thumbs down. Now they may feel a little silly with a paddle or something like that, but with those gestures, you could use that as an opportunity to respond. So uh, what are some opportunities, or what are some ways that you have the students to show you that they understand the concept that you're teaching, and that they kind of get what you're talking about? So what are some things that you've done, or that you could use?
We do the thumbs up, thumbs down too for my kindergartners.
Oh wow, kindergarten, awesome.
Yeah, and we also they also do the big head shakes.
No, no, what was that? I'm sorry.
The big old head shakes, like no or
Oh,
yes.
oh, okay, cool, cool. I can just imagine the little fellas in there. Awesome,
Yes.
great. What else we got?
In in the chat we use thumbs up, thumbs down for quick assessment, and third as well.
Yes. And these opportunities to respond are quick ways to do a bit of formative assessment. I mean, if the students get it, if I was, okay, for example, if we're doing 2 times 5, and I say, all right, get your whiteboards, we're going to multiply 2 times 5. When I say 3, I want everyone to show your answer at the same time. So, you know, I give them time to think, give them wait time, give them think time, give them time to process what you ask, have them to prepare an answer. Then when 1, 2, 3, everyone shows their answer, I can see what kids get it and then what kids don't. And if the majority of the kids in the classroom aren't getting that concept, then I need to reteach that in a different way. So that's another way with whiteboards. So
Another one in the chat says thumbs up and thumbs down as well in kindergarten. I used to use, I know like Kahoot, you could get them to
mm,
go in and do something like that. If you have like a technology if you like that type of thing, um, and have access to technology, you can do a lot of things with technology. But like a Kahoot, later on we also used plickers and stuff like that. So those were things that we would use technology wise. And then just a simple red and green piece of paper on
yes.
their desk.
One that I use that I really like when my kids are turning stuff in, I have 4 different periods. I have them put in a turn-in bin. I use um, a highlighting. I have them so to make sure they highlight their name. So that way, first of all, I have a name on every paper, and I have them highlight it based on the way they feel. If it's green, if they think it was awesome, they didn't need any help. Yellow, if they needed a little bit of help but understood the gist of it, and orange if they were completely lost and needed retaught. And it's really been a way for me to kind of see how they each feel without having to tell all their friends the way they feel.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea. I like the idea of highlighting their names. That way you make sure you're getting them used to putting their names on their papers. Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's
Great.
great. Also in the chat, Doug, we have Pear Deck is great as well. You can pull up all responses without showing who wrote them and go over the answers as a class. So kind of letting them do a check on them too. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, great. Does anyone use choral reading? It's a hard word for me to say. Choral reading, everyone read together. Uh, I've done that with the kiddos that somewhat with struggling readers as well, because that allows them to kind of pay attention and to be involved with the learning that way. So we can provide them with verbal or nonverbal ways to respond in individual or respond in unison. Uh, so some of the verbal responding, like I said, is choral responding. Uh, you know, I've done, even with a couple of trainings I've done here in the last week or so, I've used some just highlighted some words or underlined some words, and as reading, I said, all right, everyone together, let's read the next word. So, and always give them a signal to let them know what you're going to do or what you expect of them. And if you're going to use a different opportunity or a different way to respond, you want to ensure that the students understand what you're asking them and how they're going to use the tools that they have to respond to what's being given to them. So we could have students respond in unison or have them do individual responses. So there's just several different ways that we have for our students to show that they understand the content and that they get it. Some response cards, those with like for multiple choice with A, B, C, and D, you can use those over and over and over again. So just be kind of, what are some different ways I can engage my students in the learning and have them show me that they understand the content and they get it, I guess you could say. So, any others?
I don't have anything else in the chat, Doug.
All right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for participating and appreciate it. Wonderful job. Oh, this is a little bit of a difficult one, is instructional feedback, because sometimes when myself, I always got caught up into, you know, that's wrong. You have to do that over. That's not right. We did this 100 times. You should be able to do that. But when we're looking at instructional feedback, we got to look at precise information that we're providing the students about their academic, social, and behavioral performance. So students need to know, uh, what they're doing. Am I on the right track? Am I getting what you're asking me to do? Uh, am I providing you with the information that you need to show that I am proficient in this content area? So instructional feedback helps clarify misunderstandings, confirms concepts, fine-tunes understandings, and restructures current ways of thinking, I guess you could say. Always try to be positive with your feedback. Students respond better to positive feedback than they do negative feedback. And imagine, even though some of us may be new educators, you got to think about, when you're looking at feedback, when you're looking at interactions and building relationships, I think the rule of thumb is 6 positive interactions to counteract 1 negative interaction with a student. So if I'm having to correct a student over and over and over continuously, I need to look at, am I providing them with that positive interaction first before I have to dive into the negative side of things. And it's difficult to do, because when you get in, like I said, you get into that classroom and you're in the trenches, as some people call it. It's hard to be that positive, and it's hard to catch that positive all the time. So just kind of be aware of it. One way, you could even have a colleague to come in and observe your classroom for 10, 15 minutes and count how many times you had a positive interaction with your students and how many times it was something that you had to correct and provide that negative feedback. So just instructional feedback is also it's crucial for the learning process. So the learning process consists of 3 phases. You have a cue, you have participation, and then you provide feedback and reinforcement. So you have an adult or a teacher provide a cue or ask the student to do something. It may be a prompt, it may be some directions, it may be some instructions. And so the students know what they're going to have to do. For example, we've learned a new strategy for this math assignment. So now we're going to use that new strategy. I've done I do it, or we do. We've showed you how to do this. We've done this together in class. Uh, I've given you examples and non-examples. I've provided you with the steps and the strategy. Now we're going to do a few examples together. Then you're going to complete a couple of handouts or a couple of worksheets, not worksheets, but a couple of problems on your own, a couple of worksheets. Yeah, wear them out. That's a good idea. That's an opportunity to respond. So you provide them with have the students participate in the instruction. They do the assignment with you, do some examples with you, and then gives them an opportunity to ask questions. You also ask questions, provide answers, complete assigned work. And then the students complete, for example, with the math assignment, the students complete that. And then as they're doing that, you walk around, you look around, you interact with your kiddos to see if they are complete an assignment correctly, and then you provide them with feedback. And if you have to provide them with feedback, make sure it is in a way that it is a positive. Say, oh, oops, maybe let's look again. Let's try this one again. Remember our steps. And even with behavior, you can do that as well. Remember, guys, our hallway procedures. Remember, folks, when we go into the cafeteria, this is what it looks like. And if you see something that happens or occurs as you're doing active supervision, as you're walking around and looking at your students, then you could correct them there and remind them of the expectations that you have or the rules that you need them to follow. So instructional feedback, make sure it is kind of quick, positive, and corrective. And because we don't want them practicing the wrong thing, we want them practiced correctly. So instructional feedback just looks at the material and do I help them by providing a little more guidance in the areas that they may be lacking. So give me an example of instructional feedback. What would we, if a student completes an assignment, how could we give them feedback that would show that encouragement, and then what are some things that we could do or could say?
Well, I give a lot of stickers and surprises with kindergarten. They love that.
You'd be surprised how many of the upper grade students like stickers as well. I mean, it's just a little simple little thing, but goodness gracious, you put a star on a paper for a 7th grader. Oh, there, it tickles them. I mean, wait, what's this for? Did I do well? Yes, you did a wonderful job. You completed the assignment correctly. Thank you. Beautiful job. So I think those intrinsic things or those little tangible things go a long way when you're looking at encouraging students and providing support for not only academics, but for behavior as well.
I gave stickers in 7th grade and they loved it. They loved them.
Yeah. Well, even we as adults, I mean, like if we do a micro credential or something like that, you get those little badges, those little certificates. When we do trainings and things like that, at the end, we give out a certificate, and then, yeah, I don't know about some of you folks, but I've got some certificates I've had for, oh my goodness, since a lot of you were born. Just saying, since early 90s, so those things, those little tangible things are things that you hold on to, and you like it as adults, so your students will like that stuff as well. And then it could be motivators as well, things that help your students, encourage your students to try their best and complete the assignments that you ask them to. Next is something that hopefully we don't have to talk much about, but we have to put a little bit of thought into, and it's active supervision. Active supervision is it supports students that are meeting expectations by frequently and proactively monitoring what's going on. What are the students doing during that specific time or specific setting? We think a lot about active supervision as, an example that I've used is when we go to the playground. If we got all of our students out there where kiddos are outside playing, you want to make sure or ensure that you are walking around, talking to your students. You're able to see all your students. They're able to see you. You're having that interaction, so letting them know that, hey, I'm watching you. I'm not really, I'm monitoring, I'm observing. I'm here to keep you safe. And then these are some ways that, you walk around, you talk to your students, you try to use specific behaviors such as scanning the room or scanning the area, interacting with your kiddos, even walking with some of them. You learn quite a bit of stuff from your students, help you to find things to build that relationship with. And you'll hear me say relationships quite a bit because I think that is one of the keys to having a successful classroom or a well-managed classroom is building those relationships with your students. So as you're doing the active supervision, you're not going to be able to see all the kids if you're sitting in a corner, you and all your buddies talking about what you're going to do this weekend. So you got to be up, you got to be moving, you got to be interacting, you got to be talking with your students and just getting to know them. And it helps those kiddos too to understand that they feel safe knowing that someone's watching them, someone is taking care and looking out for them. It makes them feel safe, and it also helps them to uh just be aware that you are watching them and you know what's going on. They just like to know that they are aware. So there's two components of active supervision that we like to think about, and one of them is proximity, proximity prompt, and I'm sure often we've used proximity, just move closer to the kiddos, and then to hear what they're saying. Now, when you use proximity, please don't just use it when the students are exhibiting inappropriate behaviors or are giving you challenging behaviors. Use proximity prompt throughout the day. And that way, because if I just do that when Miss Mary is causing a disruption in the classroom, I'm looking at Mary, then everybody else is looking at her as well. So, oh, what's she going to do now? What's going to happen now? But if I use this throughout the day and just walk by, hey, how you doing? Things going well? Looks like you're doing excellent on this assignment. I love the way you copied all the question correctly. Things like that. Find those positive things and interact with your students and let them know that you're watching them and you're just trying to take care of them, make sure they're safe. The other part of active supervision is positive reinforcement. And when we're talking about positive reinforcement is anything that increases the likelihood of a particular behavior, uh, uh, encouraging or increasing the likelihood of that behavior to be used. So we use positive reinforcement to reinforce those behaviors that we want to see, acknowledging those appropriate behaviors, and helping those students that may be struggling, provide them with that corrected feedback. Remember, our expectations are, then you could even have them to repeat the rule or the expectation, and that just lets them know that you're watching them and that you're there for them. And so then, hopefully it builds that relationship. And then when they do need someone to talk to, you could be that one person that they come to and ask about. So when active supervision used, teachers and staff, support staff constantly walk around the room, visually scan to see what's going on, what the students are doing as they're walking, and then they interact with their students, model their expected behaviors, provide praise for expected behaviors, or corrective feedback when needed. So yeah, it's just, I mean, you be able to see all students be able to see you. So make sure you're up, moving about, and look, what is it? Walk around, look around, talk around, teach from your feet, not your seat. So, it's kind of hard when you're up moving around for little fellows to uh, get into trouble and be off task and exhibiting inappropriate behaviors. What are some ideas that we have for active supervision? I like to use a buddy system. With my buddy, as whatever, with a buddy system, when I was in scouting, we had to have a buddy system when we went swimming. So you had to have your name tag and your buddy's name tag, and you hang it up on a board as you went into the pool. And when you came out, you both got your name tag and took it back to home or whatever it was. So that way you kept up with each other. And then if we had like a buddy check, you had to make sure you was close enough to your buddy that you could both hold your hands up together, or you were in contact with each other. Some of our little fellows like to wander around. Some like to walk. Even some of our older kids like to meander around the hallway, and stuff like that. So if you implement a buddy system, kind of someone to help keep a watch on each other, keep an eye on each other, and then it helps you as well. So I like to use the buddy system. Unless you get two buddies that like to run off together, then you got to watch that. So got to be pre-correcting on those behaviors. I had a principal, he always said, if there's an altercation on the playground, you better be able to tell me exactly what happened. He said, you may not be able to stop it. You may not be able to keep it from occurring, but if something does happen, I want to know exactly what happened. You better be able to tell me. And so I was like, oh, okay. I finally understood what he was saying. And then, so, just then I was up constantly just walking throughout, making sure that I was seen and the kids were being seen. Let's look at pre-correction. Pre-correction is a strategy that you use. It is getting ahead of the behaviors before they occur. We're being proactive when we use pre-correction. So it is you reduce or eliminate the likeliness of problem behavior of occurring when you provide students with those reminders, those gentle reminders, those gentle prompts. So, for instance, you do pre-correction throughout the day without even thinking about it sometimes. If I know Mary and Miss Taylor can't sit together during lunch, I'm not going to let them line up together, right? I'm going to make sure, right? I'm going to try to ensure that they are separated when we go to lunch. Then, I know that's a difficult situation that's going to arise. There's going to be inappropriate behaviors on both of the individuals. So I'm going to pre-correct that behavior or that situation by intervening early. It's easier to be proactive than it is to be reactive. When you're reactive, you are responding to a situation that has occurred. And then, so what happens that 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe an hour, you're dealing with a situation that you could have been proactive and took care of and not worried about losing the instructional time. Because that's one thing that we don't have enough of is time. We don't have enough instructional time in the day to get everything in that we need to get in. So just pre-corrective means dealing with a problem behavior before it occurs. It emphasizes changing the environment, just like active supervision, pre-correction, instructional feedback. Those are all environmental changes that you make in order to ensure that your classroom is run safely. So with pre-correction, you could use visual supports, verbal prompts, then you can also strong reinforcement for engaging in appropriate academic and appropriate behavior as well. So that way the students understand what you're praising them for or what they was that they were working at. And speaking of praise, let's talk a little bit about behavior specific praise. So with behavior specific praise, everyone knows that praise comes in like two categories, I guess you could say. Praise is just acknowledgement, positive acknowledgement of what you want the students to do. or what the appropriate activity or engagement is going on. So it's nice to be acknowledged for doing something correctly. So a lot of times we use general phrases like great job, good work, nice job, things like that. But if I'm not sure what you're praising me for, then I'm not sure what behavior I need to show again. I was at a meeting one time and I sat in the back of the room on my phone the whole time, 3 hours, sat on my phone scrolling social media. And after it was over, we got up to leave, and the presenter's like, "Great job! Everyone did really well today." All right, I know what to do the next time we got a meeting with this presenter. Right, sit back here on my phone. What was the great job? What was that praising? So, that was just general praise. We need to look at behavior specific praise. We need to look at what it is that was appropriate that the teacher or the staff or someone acknowledged. So instead of saying things like, all right, so if I use the general phrase, great work, how could someone turn that into behavior specific praise? What could that look like or sound like if we had a student that completed 10 math problems and then we say, oh, great work. How could I turn that into a behavior specific praise where I praise that student for what they did instead of using great work?
I would, like I did today, I've had one little one that's been um, pretty, I wouldn't say wild, but he's been pretty excited, I guess. And he did all of his math work today. And I went over to him, and I've got my treasure box, and I handed him a um, a little toy on my treasure box. And I told him, I said, "You have done so good today, and I wanted to give you this for doing so good." And he was so happy. And the other kids seen it too. And of course, they started, they were the ones that wasn't, they started working really hard and they got theirs done. And I went and did the same for them.
I love the way you said that the other kids saw it and picked up on that. That's one thing of that providing that feedback as well, as the other kids saw how you provided this young man or the little one with the praise and talked about how well he did. And then it's like, oh, wait, maybe if we do the same thing, we'll be acknowledged as well. So I love the way that the other students picked up on that. Great job. Beautiful answer. Thank you for participating and providing that answer. What about someone says, well, you're the best? All right. Ah, shucks, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you could say, thank you for instance, a kiddo turned his homework in with all of it completed. Thank you for completing your homework. I love the way that you wrote neatly. You're the best at completing. You're the best at turning in your work early or something like that. So make sure that you're looking at what that behavior is and you're acknowledging the appropriate behavior and praising that student specifically for that behavior. So behavior specific praise are statements that are delivered to a person that are desired behavior occurs. That is, that praise is contingent upon that person exhibiting the positive behavior that you wanted to see or completing the assignment the way that you wanted it completed. And it just helps them to understand why I'm being acknowledged, why I'm being recognized, and how this follows the classroom rules, expectations, or how this provides support and encouragement to me throughout my academic as well as social and behavioral journey of this school year, I guess you could say. So, oh,
In the chat, I've seen schools that have been implementing positive office referrals where you can shout them out to the principal with the specific behavior, with the specific great behavior, such as sitting with some at lunch that was alone or helping a student.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, that is
That's
awesome.
nice.
That's a great idea.
Oh, thank you
Because
for
a lot of,
sharing.
yes, definitely. Thank you. Because what happens, office discipline referrals are usually, negative when the students are getting into trouble. I like that idea. That also, just my thoughts would help build that relationship with that student and, with not only the kiddo that they sat with at lunch that didn't have anyone to sit with, but that positive relationship with the administration, because I, I've seen talk to principals and stuff, and I said, do you know this kid? Don't know they're in the building. Best kid ever. What kind of interaction do you have with them? Well, hardly ever interact with them because there's no reason to. And I'm like, they may need to, they may need some of that interaction. So just think about those kids, even the kids that are always positive, are always doing what they're supposed to do. Even the best kids, they still need some of that recognition or that behavior specific praise, that encouragement, to continue on with the appropriate behaviors that you see and the successes that they're having. I like the office. I like that positive office thing. It's a really great
That's
idea.
great.
Any others?
We at the end of the
We were just
year,
talking here about the
go ahead,
power of
Jody.
calling parents with positive feedback too.
I'm sorry.
That doesn't cost you anything to make a phone call to parents to praise a student.
Oh,
I'm going to
wow.
call your mom and let her know how good you were paying attention during the assembly or things like that.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. We used to talk about, and that's also with the parents and the caregivers, that 6-to-1 ratio. You want to brag on them, build their kiddos up, because that one time you have to make that one phone call where it's like, had a little rough day today. It's easier for those phone calls to be well received than it is if the only time you call them is for the inappropriate or the bad stuff or the negative stuff that their students or their child's done. Great.
In the chat, Doug, we have someone said, I have a student of the week and teacher mail to send home to caregivers. That's nice.
Yes, definitely. Now, with your student of the week, I'm sure you have criteria set up for those students to know what it means to earn that student of the week, I guess, certificate or acknowledgement or whatever. uh I did the same thing. It was so, and it was difficult sometimes to find the what that kiddo was acknowledged for as far as getting to be student of the week. But it worked, and I was in a self-contained EBD classroom. Was so had 10 guys, or no, had 8 guys, and it was kind of difficult, but we always tried to find the positive, that because the kiddos, they can do something positive. It's hard for us to see it sometimes, but they all have those positive traits that they can do. So yes, thank you very much for those comments.
At the end of the year, we had a teacher pick, which I like how that they're doing every week, but we had a teacher pick, and that whole thing was to pick a kid who didn't normally get picked, but you had to give something specific. So like one of mine was, I picked one kid because he always had questions in class. And and he was one of my special ed students. And when I gave the award, I said, this class period, this kid always asked great questions. And he smiled, grinned from ear to ear, and he said, I know that's me. And so he knew he was the one that asked all the questions in that class period. So, I loved questions. And so recognizing a kid for asking good questions in class.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's great. I had a student. He wasn't really athletic or anything, but he was a encourager. He was always the cheerleader for the other kids, and I was like, you know, there's, we gave him an award for being that encouraging individual or that person that always saw the positive and tried to get everyone else. He built everyone up. So it was really cool to see that. So yes, that's great. Thank you. All right. So I'm short, sweet. Any questions? Anything at all?
Well, they
So
may be thinking, Doug, I'm going to ask one.
yes.
So I know because where I've been around you a while, there is one strategy that you have shared that I love. Like if you have a kid that's really been problematic and it's 2 and what is it? 2 and 10? What is it? Two,
Two by 10.
two
All
by
right.
10, 2 by 10. Would you explain that to them so if they have that problem kid of what that strategy is? Because I just love that one. And when you shared that, I was like, oh wow, that is so cool.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So it's just a strategy where you just take 2 minutes out of your day and just have a kiddo that that you do struggle with or that you need help building a relationship with. So just take 2 minutes out of your day for 5 days, for 10 days, for whatever, usually 10 days, give you a little bit of time. Take 2 minutes and talk to that kid about anything they want to talk about. It doesn't have to be academic related, doesn't have to be school related, just something that they're interested in. And learn a little bit about that student, learn about their interests, learn about their likes. It helps you learn what motivates that kiddo, and plus it helps to build that relationship. So get to know your students. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You've lost 20 minutes trying to build a relationship with that kid, or learn something about them, and then encourage those students. So used that strategy before. Didn't know what it was called at the time, but I would take, seem like Mondays, my guys would get together and we just first 5 minutes of class, we would just have share out. What did you do over the weekend? And, what are you excited about this week at school? What did you like about, just what are some things that are coming up that we need to look forward to, and then just find out a little bit about your kiddos and then share with those kids, and those hopefully you'll find some motivational activities that you can use and do with your students to help build those relationships. So hopefully I explained that.
That's the one. I love
All
that
right.
one. I think that's a great way to try to like you said, build that relationship because if you're struggling with a kid, getting to know them, that's the best thing to do.
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love 2 by 10. We did that at my old school. I saw such a difference in my students. It definitely helped build relationships. That's awesome. You've all used it at your old school. I love that.
Some great. Thank you. That just reinforced what I was talking about. Thank you.
Well, if there's not any questions, Doug,
All right. Then
well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
you finish up. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, thanks everyone for taking a few minutes out of your busy day. It's going to be a wonderful year. You're going to have struggles and challenges, but you're going to overcome those, and with support of each other, your colleagues, uh, your students, with that support from folks around you, you'll make it, and you'll look at these first few years and be like, wow, those were the most exciting times of my career, I think. Just learning new stuff, trying to absorb everything that you can. Just take care of yourself, show your kiddos that you love them, appreciate them, and be encouraging, and be safe, be kind, be exceptional. And again, thank you very much.
Awesome. Oh, thank you, Doug.